Hello, peoples and persons of all ages. It is I, Kazrium, and with the holiday season in full swing, if you're like me, you probably can't help but think of a show that's brought so much joy and other feels in the past year, The Owl House. More importantly, how hard it is to wait to see more of the show as it's currently sitting in its mid-season hiatus. Man, if only there was some Owl House related content that I could tell you about to help fix those hiatus blues. Possibly something that I feel captures the heart and soul of the franchise in an emotional and collaborative visual and musical experience. That's too bad that nothing like that exists, otherwise I could make a video telling you all about it. Oh well, guess I'll see you next. Wait a minute! That's right, today I have a story to tell you all with a little extra reward at the end. A story of how one of Netflix's biggest shows has an unintentional yet fateful encounter with this beloved Disney franchise. An encounter that would spawn even more wonderful works of art that add and illustrate layers of emotional complexity on top of what the show already has done so well. So, sit back, relax, crack open a juice box of apple blood if you're of legal age, but hey, I'm not the fun police. Let me tell you the story of what led to, and will precede, the Owl House fan musical. Before I begin, I feel obligated to warn you all that this video will sink into spoilers for the show up until episode 8 of season 2. Also, you may hear the word fan or community content quite a bit in this episode, and while that might incline you to click away, but wait, let me finish. But I think by the end of this, you'll be pleasantly surprised by the quality and richness of the work put in by all the talented people I'm going to cover in this video. Finally, for a short period of this video, I will be addressing the topic of suicide. I won't be going in depth, but it is necessary for giving context for what I'm going to be speaking about. So please, if you need to, you can skip ahead to this timestamp to avoid the subject altogether. Otherwise, without further ado, let me tell you the story of someone with a dream.
Do you know the tale of the girl and the king? The ending is still unknown.
Our story begins with a young, aspiring composer named Joriah. He wasn't your typical teenager. He had already written and performed his first musical Dream, a King's musical, at 13 years old. Don't you love it when you hear that people were already more accomplished than you at a much younger age? Because I certainly do. Needless to say, Joriah was talented, and his passion for musical theater helped him form his direction in life. However, years later, Joriah would receive some devastating news. One of Joriah's best friends had, unfortunately, passed away to suicide. This was undoubtedly a devastating experience. And according to Joriah's website, it became very clear how undersaturated education and the media is with accurate representations of suicide and the effects it has on its involved parties. This would lead Joriah to create a pivotal musical to our story. TheaArtsz, a Song Cycle. Once again from Joriah's website, TheaArtsz, a Song Cycle is a fan-based charity project inspired by Jay Asher's critically acclaimed novel, 13 Reasons Why. It's a compilation featuring musical theater fusion styles such as rock, pop, hip-hop, R&B, neo-soul, folk, and EDM. The concept is that through the album, the characters retell the story of Hannah Baker. The concept is that the characters' dialogue is through song in the style of music that they would listen to. This musical was released in 2019, 2 years after the premiere of Netflix's series that popularized the novel. The musical's notoriety and Joriah's career was rocketed after winning a musical competition Right Out Loud, which was hosted by Taylor Louderman, a Tony nominee, who would perform one of the winner's songs. For Joriah, this was a certain song called Little Miss Perfect. Now, for longtime Owl House fans, hearing that may have put images of straight hair and straight A's into your head, because for many, those three words are synonymous with one Miss Amity Blight, which is where the next part of our story begins. Before talking about how this song entered the hearts of Owl House fans everywhere, let me give a bit of context and analysis. Little Miss Perfect is the 13th song of TheaArtsz and illustrates Hannah's 5th reason for doing what she did. being that she was exposed, lied about, and ridiculed because of her friend, Courtney. The song, by contrast to the subject matter of the story, is a cheery, preppy tune with a twist of sadness imbued in its verse. It gives both the image of regality and grace as the song dives into Courtney's reputation and quirks that make her ordinary. But the song, as if unexpectedly, then shifts to a longing melodic sweep as Courtney's heart is captivated by another girl passing by. Snapping her focus back, it then doubles down on not outing herself and risk falling off her societal throne. The music then sways into a sad longing to live her truth within Courtney's soul as we see the pure version of her hiding beneath her masked exterior before harshly shifting to focus back on the grace and reputation from before. She convinces herself that those parts of her is who she is and nothing more. She's never been in love, so what would she know about what her heart desires? The song's cheery tune swells back with a flutter as Courtney platonically romanticizes about an evening where she allowed herself to indulge with a friend, Hannah. Courtney proceeds to give a fantastical and loving description of their evening together. What eventually culminates is Courtney's blacking out for the first time, where she finally lets her heart decide and kisses Hannah. When suddenly a frenzied panic engulfs Courtney's mind when she sees that someone saw the girl's kiss. Her mind torments itself as it scolds her to control herself and stay on her throne, contrasted with her desperation to live her truth. It bridges into the chorus with a depressing piano melody of her mind winning over her heart, telling her that what happened didn't really happen, that she's just confused and believing it. The song ends with the conclusion that it's not worth it to be Little Miss Perfect. First and foremost, this song is beautiful. Not just from its contrasting melodies, but how those and the lyrics tell a meaningful story about the sorrow of denying your own truth and happiness. I won't go too deep, but the beginning of this song puts a strong focus on the idea of straightness and straightforwardness. Straightness is literally repeated multiple times in the beginning of the song as if Courtney is convincing herself of that aspect of her and goes as far as to highlight its role in Courtney's success and joys in life. This is of course meant to be ironic, because it's ultimately what brings Courtney her greatest sorrow. Straightness isn't what she wants deep down. She just wants to love and be loved by who her heart desires without judgment or discrimination. But that's simply not possible in her straightforward world. At the beginning of the song, you don't catch this if you're not looking for it. It's not until later, when she sings about a pretty girl walking by her locker, that it suddenly makes sense. And if I could just highlight one point of particular genius in the construction of the song, is the lyrics, "She braids my hair, I sit there blacking out for the first time." These lines of lyrics are utilized as a metaphorical acceptance of her sexuality in Courtney's heart, contrasted with the straight hair and "I don't black out at parties" lyrics from the beginning of the song, symbolizing her denial of it. Her hair is no longer straight, and her mind is no longer in control here. For a fleeting moment, she's just living with full acceptance of who she is, which is, at the very least, not straight. This back and forth of acceptance and denial is emphasized by the dueling melodies of what she rejects and how she really feels. All of this said, this of course does not justify the actions that Courtney takes in the show, but I won't get into that in this video as it's not really relevant to our story here. Since that's the case, it's okay for us to take this song at face value for our purposes, as its face value is what was integral to the song's adoption by the Owl House community anyway. But I digress. Even for someone who's never heard of 13 Reasons Why in their entire life can follow her journey and empathize with this poor girl who's at the mercy of not just those around her, but the torture her own mind inflicts upon her. That's what makes this song special. It has free agency in being a vessel for anyone, anywhere. No names and few overly specific references are made in the song, meaning that it could apply to just about anyone who's going through a similar situation. That's not just brilliant storytelling. It also is the basis of how this ties back into the Owl House. Like I said before, the song was released and won its competition in September of 2019, but the Owl House didn't release until January of 2020. And Little Miss Perfect wasn't popularized by the show's community until around June of that same year. So how did this song in particular take the Owl House community by storm? Well, we need to take a trip back to June of 2020. Fun month that was. This was, funny enough, 3 months into the Season 1 hiatus, the same point that this video is being released for the Season 2 hiatus. No doubt, the Owl House community, which, while smaller at the time, was feeling those same hiatus blues we're feeling now. Something that was on many people's minds, however, was the progression of Amity and her growth in the last few episodes leading up to the Season 1 hiatus, focusing on her diary entries on Luz and the emotional complexity and deep characterization she displays at the end of the episode Lost in Language. It was then that people thought that she was supposed to be sour, but now thought she was kinda sweet. Now during this time, there was no official confirmation on Amity having feelings for Luz, as Enchanting Gromfright wouldn't be released until months later. But that certainly didn't stop the Owl House community from shipping, or romantically pairing these two together, since, thanks to the brilliant writing of the show, the ship made sense, even at that point. Fan art of all kinds began popping up, ranging from beautiful art pieces to comics, even to animations and animatics. Among the massive amount of art being made included fan art in animatics featuring our cotton candy-haired goddess-to-be with the song Little Miss Perfect. Now I know that some of you have probably been waiting for me to talk about one animatic in particular, but I'm gonna need you all to take a sip of your apple blood boxes because I will not be talking about it in this video. I contacted TheaArtsz and they incredibly kindly requested that I do not feature their work, and I will absolutely respect their wishes. Please treat TheaArtsz with respect if you do know who I'm talking about, and do not ask them for a re-upload. They have their reasons and they just want to move on. Please refrain from discussing them in detail in the comments as well. As our Lord and Savior Hooty once said, snitches get stitches. Hoot hoot. Anyways, rather than leaving it at that and cutting a large portion of this video and getting it done in a quick manner, because that'd be the easy thing to do, Danny, I figured that TheaArtsz might appreciate me utilizing that time to highlight the work of other artists who've made some incredible animatics as well. Future Danny here. I started making this and realized I had a lot more to say than I thought, so I'm gonna be doing a short, maybe like a few minutes long video in the future talking about them more in depth instead. Consider that a bonus video for all the patience for this one. Thank you all so much, I really appreciate it. I strongly believe the popularity of Amity and the song was because of a deep emotional connection between the themes and complexity of the two. Its popularity coming at a time when people were hungry for more content from the show, and perhaps most importantly, the song's free agency allowed it to match much of what Amity might have been feeling. It doesn't fit perfectly, obviously. Some of the more specific references, including being adopted, the student council, and listening to Paul McCartney, obviously don't match. Unless, against all odds, Ida managed to sell her a Beatles album. Despite this, the song correctly helped illustrate the torment and subsequent despair of Amity not being able to confess her feelings due to her straightforward expectations. In this instance, however, rather than straightness referring to sexuality, as homophobia seems to be non-existent in the Boiling Isles, yes, even that hellish world is more tolerant than ours, what does that say about us? Instead, it's more focused on the expectations on a high societal blight family. This feels like it would reasonably apply to not dating a human, which is not ordinary. and what I would expect the show to explore in Season 2's second half. This and many other elements of the song would end up being prophetic in a way. Much of the song would go on to follow closely with Amity's progression in the show, including its theme of following what you're told rather than who you are, a la Amity's friendship with Willow being forced to an end because of her parents, and her initial denial of having feelings for Luz. And again, the most recent episode that premiered when the song became popular in the Owl House community was Escape of the Palisman. So, as to why this song was as popular as it was in the Owl House community, I'd say it's a bit of the fan creations premiering in the right place and the right time for its immediate success, and the connections that fit so well with Amity for its longevity. Many people were rooting for these two girls to get together, as LGBTQ+ representation is rare, especially for a quote-unquote kid show, and this song and its lyrics were an early but powerful cry for support long before it was official. So, we have a beautiful, symbolism-filled song about the struggle between going with what's expected and being true to oneself, and fan creations that tie the song's themes and message back to the context of the Owl House. Now, this is where many people think the story ends, but we're just on the brink of discovery, I think.
I notice how she looks at me, but I pretend that I don't see.
With Little Miss Perfect turning into the anthem for Lumity for the next couple of months, many fans were still clamoring for a response song, one that was made for the Owl House specifically rather than 13 Reasons Why. On August 19th, 2020, Joriah posted a comment praising the show's community for adopting the song as much as they had and asking if they'd like a song based around Luz. As you can imagine, the floodgates opened, and Joriah was likely drowning in requests from eager fans. And on September 7th, fans finally got the news they'd been waiting to hear. Joriah posted a video titled Ordinary, Little Miss Perfect sequel lyric video, and it was as advertised. This song was sung by Allie Grace and was constructed for the Owl House, this time focusing on Luz's perspective, so it's no wonder that this song fits her so well. The song parallels the same struggle of Amity's ballad of being faced with following what's ordinary and what you really desire. It even incorporates a portion of Little Miss Perfect as a reprise of sorts, showing that the struggle may be the same, but Luz is a different side to the Lumity coin. The main difference is the resolution, where Luz doesn't rewind or induce amnesia. She swears to be anything but ordinary for the sake of what and who she loves. Expectedly, the song doesn't have the same regularly contrasting ups and downs of Little Miss Perfect, but instead a wondrous, fun melody accompanied by some sorrow-filled verses. This matches the zaniness of Luz's personality as well as her doubt as she gazes into the future and thinks that all of this could just be a dream one day. What makes Ordinary unique to Little Miss Perfect is that while Little Miss Perfect utilizes a couple of stories to assist in demonstrating Amity's feelings, Ordinary is direct and masterfully illustrates how Luz feels without one. Ordinary is a song that's more focused on what's tangible rather than a deeper meaning. But this makes sense for a Luz anthem to be this way, and Little Miss Perfect to be filled with more symbolism since Luz has always worn her emotions on her sleeve, and Amity's been forced to conceal them. What the song lacks in its usage of symbolism, it more than makes up for with how direct and genuine it is, just like Luz. Characterization? When did you get here? This is, of course, due to the great lyrics that the song has, but it's also largely thanks to Allie Grace's performance, which could have been cringy as heck in some parts, particularly the scream of frustration and the laughing portion. But thanks to the wonderful direction and performance, it's a risk that pays off because it makes Allie sound like she truly embodies Luz in the song. This effectively helps her voice fit surprisingly well for Luz. It's not a match, but because of the authentic reactions, it still fits. And of course, there are animatics for Ordinary as well, with two of my favorites, and two of the most popular being from a channel called CrossiantMoon, and the other one being DulceaDraws. CrossiantMoon's animatic was published on September 9th, 2020, just 2 days after the song was released. I loved its natural incorporation of moments from the show, and especially its usage of color, glyphs, and light in important portions of the song. DulceaDraws animatic was probably the most popular of the ordinary animatics by far. Its character designs are distinct from the show, but still fitting. Its references, use of color, and dynamic movement made it one of the most visually stunning of them all. But unfortunately, the original is no longer available. As a matter of fact, the whole channel was deleted around September of 2021. However, I was actually able to get in contact with Dulcea, and I was blown away by how kind and supportive she was to even a small channel like mine. I had asked to feature her work and if she was willing to share her thoughts on what had happened leading to her channel's deletion, and this is, as far as I can tell, the first time that Dulcea has offered a public statement on this. Dulcea left me this to communicate with all of you. As for the reasons why I deleted my channel, we can say that the short motive was because I left the Owl House fandom. When I first made the animatic, I wasn't expecting it to get the response it got. I wasn't known for doing the Owl House content at all. It was supposed to be something little I wanted to share, but never expected it to go too popular, and when it happened, I didn't know how to react and handle it. I often suffer from anxiety attacks. The situation ended up overwhelming me, so I took a hiatus after posting the only 2 videos I had. It was my mistake to not say a word. I had other projects too, but then I kept postponing it and postponing it. Another reason was, it wasn't the kind of content I wanted to create as my main priorities. Making fan arts or focusing only on creating one kind of content for a fandom or series wasn't my intention. If you look at my Instagram page, you can see what's my interest. I'm an animal artist. I like to focus on my original characters and artwork, also offering commissions to my clients, and after the Ordinary event, people expected me to offer them and bring more The Owl House content. Suddenly, I would have a part of the fandom asking me if I had something in the works or if I was doing more stuff like that. It reached a point I had certain users constantly asking me, to a point it sounded more like an order that I had to do the Owl House content. They would comment me, "Look, your art's nice, but when are you gonna do something the Owl House related?" Those kinds of attitudes and messages ended up forcing me to leave the fandom and anything related to it. Yet they wouldn't stop coming, so I ended up deleting my YouTube account. Sometimes I regret deleting my channel. I think of the people who genuinely liked it and wish I had made it private, not making it disappear from YouTube altogether. Maybe one day I'll re-upload it, or even do a remake as I've improved my skills with animatics and video editing, but right now my life projects are far from that. Who knows what's going to be in the future. Dulcea says that she's currently happy creating her own projects in OC art, and what made me happiest of all was reading this. "I'm finally moving on from negative feelings and experiences the animatic brought me, keeping only the good experiences and joy it brought to many, with my gaze now focused on new projects and dreams." Dulcea, it was truly an honor that you trusted me to be the one to share this with the Owl House community, and I'm sure that hearing that you're happy and moving forward with what you enjoy was a relief to fans of your work everywhere, including me. Thank you for having my back. I promise to pay it forward. After all, us weirdos gotta stick together. Little Miss Perfect is a beautiful and deep retelling of the struggle of one of the most complex characters from the show, Pre through the Looking Glass ruins, and Ordinary perfectly captures the direction that Luce and Amity's relationship should follow through the end of the show. And just in case you were wondering, if you remember the 3 C's of my previous video, of course these songs follow it to a T. Little Miss Perfect's characterization lies in building our image of Amity in the first few lines. Its charm is in the performance and playfulness of its romanticization of her time with Luz. And its continuity is its conclusion of expectations winning over heart, which was set up to be knocked down in Ordinary's conclusion. The same is true for Ordinary, except its charm is more in how Luce's quirks shine through in its lyrics, and continuity being a definite decree that following who you are will win every time from now on for these two. The songs, much like the characters they're associated with, are good when separate, but make each other even better when they're together. I love both these songs, but if you ask me which one is better, I'd obviously go with Ordinary. You might be surprised to hear that, especially considering all those reasons, and that Little Miss Perfect is, canonically, Hooty's favorite song.
This is my favorite song! Here I go! Straight hair, straight A, straightforward, straight path. I don't cut corners, I make a point to be on time. Hooty, hooty, hoot, hoot!
And yes, that was Hooty's voice actor Alex Hirsch singing that. But yeah, as much as I still love Little Miss Perfect, in a post-canon Lumity world especially, I feel that Ordinary just fits the show much better and leaves you with a much warmer feeling after listening to it. Thank you to Joriah for making both of these amazing songs. Speaking of Joriah and amazing songs, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for. You know what? This joke is gonna get old fast. Let's just skip to the good part.
Beloved citizens, the Emperor's Coven proudly presents.
Holy wackaroni! 8 songs with more to come next year? Better check in with the dentist, cause I'm getting a cavity over all these treats. Yes indeed, after announcing it on August 15th, 2021, it was finally released on Halloween of the same year. The Owl House Fan Musical. We got songs for Camila, Ida, King, Willow, Amity, and of course, Luz, performed by Gabriela Gonzalez, Joriah himself, Allie Grace for King and Willow, Rachel Sell, and Amanda Angelis, respectively. I'm not going to run through these songs in depth since that would create a long video. I mean, just look at how long it took for me to get through 2, but some of the more notable songs that I enjoyed would be Witch Duel, Not Getting Credit, Sweet and Sour, and Time to Lose. I like how the musical varied its types of genres that it put on display. The songs are pretty distinct from one another, and I have no doubt that fans of musicals and the Owl House will love some of these songs. On top of that, Ordinary's tune is utilized in Time to Lose, which I loved hearing again, and ties the musical's identity back to the legacy that led to it. Also, I know that seeing Joriah as Ida might seem like a miscasting, but listening through, I actually really enjoyed this fresh spin on Ida once I got to the Witch Duel song. Color me impressed for knocking down my concerns. Plus, you can tell that Joriah had a ton of fun performing her. Now, I should mention you shouldn't come into this expecting another Little Miss Perfect or Ordinary. These songs are great, but definitely are filled with more specific references which reduce their agency in being as relatable as the other two. That's not a bad thing. I mean, this is a musical for the show after all, so it clearly did its job. It's just different, and one should have realistic expectations on the approach of these songs. Will these songs be as widely spread as Little Miss Perfect and Ordinary? Probably not. It's hard to catch lightning in a bottle not 1 or 2, but 3 times, but honestly, they don't have to. Their role in the Owl House community may be serving as fun extensions of the show for those who want more. Extra content ranging from this to fan art really help keep the spirit of anything you love alive. It's no wonder that shows like Avatar haven't been forgotten because it still gets art to this day. Not everything has to have multi-million view counts to be important, or at least I tell myself that when I look at my channel. Now, there hasn't been too much time since these songs came out, but we already have animatics of Sweet and Sour popping up. I'm super happy that Joriah made these and is planning on releasing more in 2022. I hope he has a ton of success and we get some more amazing songs. I'm particularly looking forward to a Gromfright duet personally. And being that Halloween was not too long ago, it would seem that this would be the end of our story. But there's another chapter. The next chapter of this story is about you. Yes, you. Watching this video, the one who cared enough to sit through and absorb the history of something that shouldn't be forgotten. You're an important part of this story. And so am I. Let me ask you, why do you think I made this video? Was it to tell the tale of a song that made a point to be on time? Was it to stop the world from rewinding and inducing amnesia of these works of art and the people behind them? Sure, yes to both those things. But was it something else too? Something that's more obvious than you'd think. The Owl House is a show that celebrates what makes you weird being what makes you awesome. Contrary to what you may think, it can be easier to go with what's expected of you. Going to a camp to control your imagination, getting a job your family planned for you since birth, pretending to find love in a partner of a socially demanded sexuality. But if you knew deep down that any of these weren't you, would you really be happy? This musical, everything we went over in this video, was all for you. Its message reminds you to be true to yourself, to your dreams, and to take them just as seriously as you wish the world would. What makes these songs resonate with fans of the show is that they truly embody the soul of it. They want you to go out in the world and live your truth, even if people say you're weird. Why try to make yourself plain? So sign up for those vocal lessons you've been thinking about. Write just one scene of that show idea you can't get out of your head. Tell that one person how you really feel about them. Make that YouTube channel you've dreamed of. Because speaking from experience, living a life that's not yours, one that's normal, is far more scary. Nothing lasts forever. Shows end, animatics get taken down, stories go untold. But you're here. You know this story now and why it's important. There's air in your lungs and a vast world out there filled with opportunity. Find your own perfect and explore it without limitations and with pride. One day you'll be a lot older and all of this will seem like a dream. But so what if you were dreaming, so long as you can look back and love the scene you were in? I made this video because it tells a story that doesn't end here. It lives in you now. So go out there and be anything but ordinary. Subscribe to join the Witch Appreciation Society. I've been Danny K, and remember to do something nice for yourself today. But if I could just have one more minute of your time, I want to thank you. All of you. I'm trying my best to improve my writing, performing, and video making skills, so if there is any constructive criticism you can give, I'd love to hear it. I also received so many kind comments, so thank you all so much for your kindness, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I read all your comments, so thank you so much. Now, for the next order of business, many people may be wondering what video is going to come next. Well, I am excited to announce that I have the results, and the winner, by a landslide, was How Yesterday's Lie Shatters Loose Noceda. I am excited to make this one. This is definitely something that I've been thinking about, and I'm kind of surprised that more people don't really make as many videos about Luz, so I'm happy to see her get some of that attention. Although Amity and Eater are both amazing characters, and I'm looking forward to doing their videos in the future. This video did take a while to make, and it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed or told your friends about my videos. As usual, add an "Oh Cramity Amity" to your comments so I know where the real witches are. And thank you for helping me on my path to live my dream. See you later, alligator.